Hello class, welcome back. I'm just joking. Hi, it's Megan again with Sunny Side Up Pastures, and thanks for watching. Today, going to be talking about a couple of things, and one is a little bit of a rant and educational, and the other one's also educational. But yesterday, was that yesterday? It was yesterday. Time means nothing to farmers, except Sundays, because you can go to church. Anyway, so yesterday I talked about how we had lost a couple of cows, 2 to bloat and 1 to hardwired disease. And I just wanted to explain that a little bit real quick. And so first we'll deal with bloat, because that's, I guess, the most common form of accidental death. And bloat happens when a cow eats rich food. This is how we've lost 2 cows. They eat rich food, or they switch food to that what they're not used to. And just like us, cows have a lot of bacteria in their stomach so they can break down all the forage that they eat. And when you switch over to a new food, or it's really rich, if it's a new food, you need bacteria for that. Certain bacteria break down certain food. And so if they switch over to a feed that they're not used to, they don't have that bacteria to break it down. Or if it's too rich, we call it hot feed. It causes more gases. And I won't get too sciencey in it, not that I know every speck of detail about that. And there's bloat blocks, where you put that in with the cow and they can lick it, and it puts in things into their stomach to help keep those gases down. And there's also things you can put in their water and different things. We use bloat blocks, which have seemed to work really well. I'll see if I can input a little video of a cow's stomach. Everyone here is like, oh, a cow has 4 stomachs. A cow has 1 stomach with 4 sections in it. I mean, they're very distinct sections. But first off, you have the rumen, and that's on the left side of the cow. And that's where bloat will take place. And so the feed goes into the mouth, down the esophagus, and into the rumen. And rumen is really big. It's huge. I think I saw that it can hold up to 25 gallons. And that's pretty cool. But anyway, the feed goes in there, and as the bacteria are breaking it down, and that produces gases. And a cow will actually burp, or ejaculation? Anyway, they burp, and that helps release that pressure, and that's what keeps the cows from having bloat. Early in the spring this year, Big Mama, who you saw on Saturday, I was out in the field, and I just heard her kind of like trying to cough, and she just sounded funny. And I went over to her, and the left side of her stomach was just bulging, and I knew right away that she was bloating. And one of the things that help is if you try running a cow, it can help move things around, jostle them, and that will, help get some gases out. But one thing you gotta know about Big Mama is she takes her time. She is super chill, and I just don't, maybe she was too far gone, or we just couldn't run her enough. But we got her outside of the electric fence. We were just running around the field, or trying to run her, and she's just like jogging at best. But that just wasn't going down, so we ran to the vets. I ran to the vet while Stan was pushing her on the 4-wheeler. And we just caught this little bottle. I should have grabbed one with me for the video so you could see. It's just this little bottle, and you're supposed to get them to swallow that, and it's supposed to just bring those gases down and keep them from bloating. And I don't know how this would have worked if it would have been any other cow, but I don't know if I could have done this unless it was Big Mama. But I have this rope, and none of us can rope, and this is why I say it wouldn't have worked, because Big Mama will let you get close to her. So we're able to get the rope around her neck, and I tried to make a halter out of it, but it's a really stiff rope, so it didn't work very well. So Stan held the rope to try to keep her in place, while I got this gun. It's a gun that you're supposed to use it to inject like a lice lysicide. I don't know, it kills lice and other parasites on their back, and we haven't used this gun yet. We have it just in case. And so I put this stuff, that bottle with water in it, and so I just went over and I grabbed her mouth, and of course she doesn't really like me there, but it has to be done. So I open up her mouth, and then I'm just squirting this stuff in. I'm trying to hold her head up and get her to swallow, and there's saliva and poop, and it's a fiasco. And again, I don't think I could have done this if it had been any other cow, because no one else lets me get this close. And we did that, got that in her, and I guess she must have swallowed enough of it, because after a while you could just see that. I mean, so you have like a normal cow stomach, and then you have like a bloated cow stomach. It's like an abscess. Like, it's very noticeable, this like bulge coming out of her stomach, and it just lessened, and we're able to save her, which is super fortunate, because the other two cows, it was too late. Bloat happened so fast, and actually the gas gets so big it actually suffocates the cow, and that's how they die. So it's not a great death. And when a cow bloats, you can't save the meat from it because of the fumes. I don't know exactly what to call it. It can contaminate the meat, so it tastes bad. And so if you lose a cow like that, they're compost. You can't save anything else from them. I guess if we knew how to tan hides, we could do that, but we don't know how to do that. Maybe someday. Or if anyone in Utah, if you know anyone who looks for cow hides to tan them and use them for leather work or whatever, let me know, because we would love to be able to use more of our cows resourcefully like that. That'd be awesome to hear about. Anyway, we saved Big Mama. That was great. So that's bloat. And that comes the rumen, the first part. That's majority of problems. And so I guess the second chamber of the stomach, I won't really say it's after the rumen, but it's kind of part of how it goes, is the reticulum. And the reticulum is kind of like a honeycomb substance, and it lets smaller particles through, like food particles and stuff, into the omasum. And we're not going to deal with omasum or abomasum today. That's not really part of today's video. But the reticulum is super handy, because cows, especially cows that aren't grazing on like nice forage, if they're grazing on the ground, they're going to pick up, because cows just grab and eat, and they don't really even chew right away. They might chew a little bit. They're just swallowing, because they're going to burp some of that up later. And then you see a cow chewing its cud, that's the cud that they're chewing. It's partially digested food, so they belch up a little bit and they chew it for a while, then they swallow it and belch some more, kind of gross, I guess. But I don't know how I got onto that. Anyway, reticulum. Oh, right, chewing. They just chew. And so sometimes they pick up twine or wire or plastic, just anything that's on the ground if they're eating right off the ground, and they can get that in there. And so usually that will kind of like go through the rumen, and it gets stuck in the reticulum. And sometimes it's fine. Maybe a cow might carry a piece of plastic or something in there for the rest of their lives. But if it's sharp or big enough to clog, that's where you get a problem. So if it's sharp, it's going to puncture the reticulum, maybe other parts of the rumen, and cause infection or catch other things. And really the only way to solve that is through surgery, where they go in, they cut in, and they'll take that out, do whatever they need to do, and sew it back up. And some places, especially really popular in dairies, where they'll feed, this might be exaggeration, it's a big magnet that they give to the cow calf, and it goes down there, and so that magnet stays there next to the reticulum. I'm not saying the reticulum is this big, it's probably, and then wire or other metal objects will get caught to that magnet, and the magnet's kind of hollow a little bit in the middle, and so it keeps any puncture wounds from happening. And then when the cow dies, this TMI, I guess, when the cow dies, they actually take the magnet back out to reuse it. Anyway, so it was actually Big Mama's daughter. or the first one that came to the farm. I think she was probably about a year old when we got her. She just wasn't looking good. She was acting really lethargic, and it's for a couple of days. And I just watched her. I didn't really know what was wrong, and she wasn't really walking. Then she stopped eating, and then her feces was looking really funny. And I probably should have called a vet sooner. But where we're new to this, I didn't know. And by the time we got around to doing something about it, we gave her some penicillin to help with any infection that might be happening. And then in the morning, she was already gone. And I don't know what we would have done, honestly, because I don't know how much a surgery would have cost to look into it, and maybe that's the problem, maybe it wasn't, but I probably should have called a vet sooner, and I didn't, and I regret that. And but anyway, we don't know for sure if it was hardwire, and that's what's called hardwire disease, when a wire or an obstruction, whatever it is, gets caught or into that reticulum. And anyway, and we never did an autopsy or trying to figure out what it was. It was just in the middle of crop. So we put her in the compost pile. But those are the two major things, at least for us. There's other problems that happen with some producers. One popular one, especially for calves, is called blackleg. But we don't have that problem because of how we rotationally graze our cows. We keep them out of certain areas at other times. Maybe someday we'll talk about it. There's a vaccine out that probably almost every producer uses, where they vaccinate their calves for blackleg. But again, we don't want to use vaccinations. We don't want to use antibiotics. Of course, if a cow gets sick, we do our best to take care of them. But we don't want to keep those genetics in our herd. We're trying to naturally get the best genetics as possible for our cows to be healthy and strong and normal. So we don't want to help them with their birth, because we want them to be able to do that by themselves and kind of be like they would in the wild. But so yeah, hardwired disease with the reticulum and bloating with the rumen. And usually with hardwired disease, we don't have to worry about that because of how we graze our cows. They aren't grazing the ground. And at this one point, they were against the fence line. We were still cleaning up, and she probably picked up a wire there and done a lot better at trying to clean things up more. And cows are curious creatures. As you've seen some of my videos, they like to really play with things. So yeah, there's that. And then part two, I talked about how cows, the belch and the gases that come from the rumen. And so if you ever hear anyone that says the cows' farts are causing global warming, you can just throw them off right there. They haven't done their research. They know nothing. They're just spouting what's popular right now. It's very frustrating to hear. Cows do not fart methane. They belch methane. That's the gases that's being produced in the rumen, and they belch to again help with bloating so they don't die. But that's a natural process. The circle of life we talked about yesterday. So the cows belch the methane. The methane, the CO2, that gets used by the plants that they're eating. And when the cows graze through, they aren't eating every single plant. Oftentimes, there's lots of plants that are still left, and so those plants benefit from the urine, from the manure, and from the CO2, the belching, that feeds them and helps them become better and stronger and more nutritious plants. And so that completes the cycle of, eats the plants, but by eating the plants, they poop, they pee, they belch, and then that goes back into feeding the plants. So when the cows come back in 6 months, in a year, that plant, that area is healthier and better for it. So now you know. Or if everyone's saying that cows are global warming and farting, and just roll your eyes, or if you like to correct people, there you go. Correct them. But sometimes those people don't even want to know. Cows can, if you believe in global warming, great. If not, fine. That's a whole other thing. But what we do know is that we can take better care of this planet, global warming or not. We can just do better. And cows, especially rotational grazing, that can make the planet better. When you have cows in a feedlot, the cows are just stuck in their own pen. They're not grazing on their plants. I mean, yeah, they probably collect the manure to go spread it on a field, but all of that natural cycle of them being on the plants and the urine and the manure and the belching going right there on the field, that's a whole nother story. I mean, it's great that they still use natural manure on there, but there's so much more to the cycle. And we'll talk about that in other videos. I'm already kind of pushing my time on here. I don't want to make these too long. I hope you were able to get a chance to go spend time with nature either yesterday or today. And I hope you took some time to engage in your health and to take care of yourself and maybe share it with somebody else. And if we have any questions or comments, go ahead and leave those down below. Would love for you to like and subscribe to our videos and maybe share us. But anyway, hope you have a great night. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye.